Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to help you and your families cruise a little smarter. And I'd like to welcome to the show our co-host, Christy from Pack Your Pixie Dust. How you doing today, Christy?
I am well. How are you, Steve?
Not too
You're
bad.
tired today.
I am tired. I got back at midnight. And also returning to the show, Chris from Los Angeles. How you doing today, Chris?
Doing well.
Nice. Well, we are going to discuss a little bit of Halloween on the high seas, and before we jump into that, we just got back last night my family did from Florida, and it was kind of a crazy day getting back, but it was a great 3-day cruise. First 3-day cruise as a family, second one for my wife and I. And before we jump into it, have either of you guys been on Halloween on the high seas before?
Not I.
I have not either.
Have you guys done I want to call it, what is the Christmas one? Why can't I say it?
The Very Merry Time Cruise.
Very Merry Time Cruise. Have you guys done that?
I have not. I'm doing one next November. Well, November 2020.
Okay, Chris?
Yeah, I've not done that. My only specialty cruise under my belt is a Marvel Day at Sea cruise, and I have a Star Wars Day at Sea that we just paid in full a couple weeks ago.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah, this is our first kind of themed cruise, and it was kind of I'm going to be completely honest. It was super cool, but there's, I think, some craziness in it, and I thought it'd be worth at least talking to you to get out to you and all of our listeners. So I guess, do you guys have any initial questions, or otherwise we'll kind of jump into what we did?
Yeah, so why this time of year a 3-day? Did you know for sure you wanted to do a 3-day right now, or was it for Halloween in the high seas? Like, what made you and your family choose this?
And that's an awfully long flight from Seattle.
Portland.
Right. Why do I keep making you live in Seattle?
That's okay, because Seattle's a known city. Everybody knows Seattle. Portland's like,
I know Portland.
We're like the little brother down here, the little sister, whatever, the cousin
All right,
that doesn't get any respect.
I'm going to re-ask that question.
No, it's good. We'll keep it going.
Okay.
Really, the bottom line is two things. One, last year we went to Alani for it. Our kids have kind of 2 days of conferences, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday. This is the last year where it kind of matches up. Our oldest is going to be in high school next year, and it won't match up. So it's just an easy kind of fall break to get away from the chaos a little bit. And the second thing was, I'm a huge fan of Halloween, so I always wanted to do.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I love bats. Haunted Mansion. So Halloween on the high seas was kind of cool. And then the last thing was to complete the Grand Slam. I mean, if you're going to do a podcast, you should at least have been on all the ships, right?
Right. Well, you did get yelled at. You did get harassed on a review once because you hadn't been on enough cruises.
Exactly.
Or enough ships.
Exactly. So, but
take that, reviewer.
So those are the main reasons, Chris. So that's kind of why we did it. But
I have a parenting question real quick.
Go ahead.
So did you just skip your children's fall conference? Like, you don't know how they're doing?
We did, because conferences for middle school, you're going to see it's a lot different when you get up there. At least our school, there's not much going on there. If you got a concern, you can talk to the teachers individually. And then our youngest is doing really well. He's never had any problems with school. We talked to the teacher ahead of time. He's doing great again. So for us, we didn't feel like that's why we didn't have a hard time skipping it. And to be completely honest, to fast forward, we went parasailing, and there was a mom with a kid that went parasailing on the same boat as us. They're from Australia. They took their kid out. He's a middle schooler for a month. And so she's like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
How do you miss a month of school?
I don't know, but she said he's going to have a lot of work to make up. So
other countries have much better policies about vacation, where it's like they get 2 months every year. I bet you the schools are used to this sort of thing.
I get that for the vacation time, and I just assumed there was long breaks from school. But, I mean, I'm already trying to figure out how I'm going to make up Blake's 2 days of school next week. They do a lot in 8 hours.
They do. And, I mean, our kids missed one. They both missed Monday yesterday, so our oldest is going to be busy this week trying to catch up with stuff that he missed last week, but we made sure he was caught up with everything when we left last Wednesday, so that's kind of how we dealt with it.
Bad parent Steve. Let's move on.
All right, so to jump into it. Yeah, so that's I guess that's why we picked it. And in all honesty, I just, as an overall, it was a super fun cruise. And to be honest, I was kind of glad it was just a 3-day cruise. I would love to be on for longer than that, but with everything going on at this time of year, it actually was a perfect amount of time to be away, have a little bit of fun, and then come back to the chaos that is life. So
that is how I felt about the 3-day cruise that I took last Labor Day. So a year ago, Labor Day. That is how we felt. Like, it was very short, and so it fills a certain need, in my opinion, but it was great for that time of year to just have that little family vacation.
A little bit of your Disney fix and then back to life. So I guess just to jump into it, we flew down Thursday, spent the night at we used our DVC points to spent the night at Kidani Village. We went to the Void, by the way, which was awesome. Chris, have you done that?
Yes, it's so good.
It surpassed all of our expectations. Even my wife, she was a little worried about it was going to cause her some motion sickness. And we did the Star Wars one. Which one did you do?
So I've done Star Wars, and in a couple weeks, I think they're coming out with Marvel. But for the listeners who don't know, the Void is basically like a really immersive VR sort of game where you have like maybe a 30-minute, it's like a 30-minute experience, and it's so, so cool.
Yeah, I think, Christy, you would even love it. I mean, if you like Toy Story Midway Mania shooting things, I love that.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Yeah, you get to shoot stormtroopers. It's awesome. So
and walk really close to very hot lava. It's just so good.
Yeah, that surprises you too. It's like how realistic it felt.
Yeah.
How heavy are the packs?
They're actually pretty heavy because they're actually hanging on a hook. When you put it on, it's up on a hook, so it's taking the weight off your back, and then they lower the hook down, so then you eventually have that whole pack. But yeah, it is heavy, but nothing that you can't do. But
I guess I'm trying to figure out for kids.
I mean, our youngest is 9, and he didn't have any problem with it. So they do have some sizes. I mean, they have smaller sizes, obviously, for smaller kids. So, and I'm not sure what the age range was. I know that you had to be 10 to go by yourself. So, and then 8 maybe to go with your family.
And it's best to go in groups of 4 unless you don't mind playing with strangers, because they sort of pack them in there. Yeah. Also, for the listeners, there are voids around the country. So there might be 5 or 6 at this point, maybe 7, but I think there's one in New York City. There's one at Disneyland and Disney World. There's one in Glendale, California, which is really close to where I live. So check it out where you are. Go on their website. You might be able to do it and not actually have to go all the way to Disney World or Disneyland.
So 2 thumbs up on that. We all had a blast doing that. So I guess moving on and that was pretty much all we did. So moving on into the cruise, how we got there, we rented a car. That just works the easiest for us. And to be honest, we used the rental car to go from Kidani over to Disney Springs to go to the Void, and that's so much easier than taking those buses. Those buses take forever sometimes.
Did you park in the Lime Lot?
We parked in the Lime Lot, yep.
Wasn't it the perfect parking spot?
It is the perfect parking spot. So, yeah, we ate at Blaze Pizza, and then we walked by the Raglan Road. They were calling for the Puddock Party of 3, but they didn't show up, I guess. So.
Everybody, that's my favorite restaurant.
And then we went over to the Void. So, but yeah, just having a rental car works easiest for us. So the next day we got up, being on West Coast time, and I think Christy gave me a hard time about this. We were not in a hurry to get to the port. We figured last time we got there about noon.
It's only a 3-day cruise. Why show up?
Yeah, why show up early? So we got there about noon, dropped the family off. I dropped the car off, and we were onto the ship pretty quickly. It took us like about 30 minutes or so. It was pretty easy.
Was your cruise sold out?
I think so. It was pretty full. I'm pretty sure it was sold out. If not, it was pretty close to capacity. I didn't ask, though.
I bet, though, the rental car port, like the rental car places, were actually quite easy at that time.
Yeah.
Because usually they're a madhouse, which is what I don't like about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to be there early, maybe don't use the rental car. But for us it's just hard for us to get if we'd been out on the East Coast for a couple days, we'd probably be adjusted to East Coast time. But trying to get the kids up early enough to go out to the ports, we just stayed up late. And so trying to get up early the next day, it just wasn't going to happen. So,
wait, what time did you say you got there?
We got there at noon and probably were on the ship about 1.
Which is about the same or even a little sooner than the Magical Express, right, Christy? Because the Magical Express doesn't even sometimes leave Disney World until like 11, 12 a.m., right?
The resorts. It does not. Yes, the Magical Express from the resorts do not arrive till later. But actually, Steve, I think you were on a little bit later. Because I was like, clearly you've eaten lunch already. you're like, nope.
No, we didn't even go to Cabanas because we had stopped at Starbucks on the way out to the port, and so nobody was hungry. So,
Oh my gosh! What kind of cruiser are you?
I know,
No kidding.
We're like the total
I think you
anti.
need to hang up the podcast.
And this is the first time ever we took late dining, which was awesome because being West Coasters, being at West Coast time, we'd always felt rushed to be ready by that 5:15 dining time. So I'll be honest, I wish it would have been 7:45. 8:15 was just like a half hour, a little too late, but overall, we really enjoyed having the late dining time. So,
agree, but we're late dining pros, partially because we don't have kids yet. We're in the process of looking into adoption, but we don't have kids yet, and so our thought is if we do an early dining, we're taking away from the parents who are desperate for early dining. So we don't want that. And two, it is easy to get like a little filler snack, right, when you get back from your port, like run up, grab a slice of pizza or something like that. And then you're held over all the way until dinner. And I think late dining is actually very nice.
I agree completely. So I think going forward, at least on when we go to the East Coast cruises, we will probably stick with late dining. And we may even do that on some other cruises as well. I know our kids really enjoyed it. Our oldest likes the idea because his crowd tends to eat late anyways, the older kids. And so he always felt like eating early. He got done and then he's hanging around for 2 hours with nobody around. So I think maybe late dining might be in the cards for us. But obviously that works for our family. Everybody's got a little bit different, thought is what works best for you. So overall thoughts, I guess, it was easy to get on. First time on the Dream. She's an amazing ship, a lot like the Fantasy. Obviously, she's exactly like the Fantasy as far as the majority of it, except for the adult areas. Anything that stands out for you guys between those two ships?
Well, the Millennium Falcon in the Kids Club, I think, is the standout on the Dream. Did you guys go up there?
So big letdown for our youngest. He was super excited to go up there and fly it. And am I out to lunch? Didn't you used to get to fly it? Now it's just a video. You couldn't fly it. You just sat there and watched the video.
Oh yeah, no, there's something that occurred. I don't know what because I never did it, but
we're gonna sound like we're not experts. But I wondered though, isn't it better on the Fantasy the Star Wars area because that's where they have Star Wars Day at Sea, or is it better on the Dream?
No, I'm pretty sure the Dream has the Millennium Falcon. So, and the Fantasy does not.
So, am
I wrong on that?
No, you're right. And okay. I guess we'll just jump into the kids. Let's just jump into the kids' experience. Well, let me go back. Let's just talk about the ship overall, and then we'll talk about the kids' stuff. But I thought she was a beautiful ship, decorated for Halloween, was amazing. You walked in the lobby. There's bats everywhere.
That is the thing. So, listeners, don't hate me, but I don't love creepy things. I don't like bats. I don't like Halloween. I am afraid to try Haunted Mansion. And so this is not my genre.
How about you, Chris?
I just want you to know that.
I love it all. It doesn't really make a difference to me in terms of creepy. I think in California right now, Disney is in the process of pushing the boundaries on how scary they can get and still be Disney. And so they moved their Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party over to California Adventure. And they added a creepy walkthrough, and they have Oogie Boogie and bats everywhere. And they have the Headless Horseman. So I think Christy would not be a fan. But my thought is it gives them a chance to decorate and go all out now, multiple times a year. The weird thing right now in California is that there is snow on the castle. There are Christmas lights going up.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's
and there are pumpkins everywhere. So it's your brain is what's going on?
It's a nightmare before Christmas.
But the ships, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but the ships aren't scary, right? They just hang some jack-o'-lanterns and a fake tree in the lobby and call it a day? Or what even is the main Halloween on the High Sea event? Okay,
so think about Halloween on the High Seas as being Mickey's Not So Scary for the most part feel, but they do have some creepy things that happen. But overall, yeah, you're right. Most of the decorations were in the lobby. They've got the Halloween tree, the pumpkin tree that's right there. And on the 3-day cruise, it was all the pumpkins already hung. I guess on the longer cruises, they start to appear as the days go by. And then they really had some clings on all the windows and a few pumpkins around the lobby, and really that was it. I think they had a couple different I didn't go into Vanellope's, so I'm not sure if they had anything special in there as far as being Halloween themed, but that was pretty much it for the Halloween theming. So
and I don't dislike pumpkins.
No.
Do they do anything fun in the staterooms? I saw. Was it you who posted a picture of a bat?
Yeah, the only thing they really did was the towel animals. We got a pumpkin one night, and then we got a bat one night. So,
into it.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool that they kind of the bat was super cool because they had it hanging from a hanger up above. And if you haven't seen it, I'll try and make sure that it's on our Facebook page. You can go to that and take a look at it. But that was pretty cool to see that. But well, I guess let's just talk about Halloween. I feel like I'm all over in this podcast. But this cruise, 3-day cruise, we left the first day. The second day, and this is what makes this cruise kind of crazy. And you might want to think about if Halloween is your thing. You might want to think about booking a longer cruise. And I'll tell you why. It's because they did Halloween in the morning to mid-afternoon, and then it transitioned to Pirate Night on the second day, all while you're in the port of Nassau. So you had 3 major things going on. Being in a port city with port adventures if you wanted to do that, Halloween in the morning/afternoon, Pirate Night at night. So kind of really condensed. And then the next day you're Castaway Cay, and then the last day, obviously, you're back in Port Canaveral and off. So
let's stick for a minute discussing the 3-day, because we just had a listener bond about a cruise that's going to come on to talk about a different cruise, I believe, but who was on a 3-day and they didn't love it. And it's for that very reason that you've just discussed, that it's a little bit of mayhem. Like if you really want to do everything on the cruise, you just can't. It's not possible. There's not enough hours in the day. You have to sleep eventually. And then there's more than one thing going on at a different time. As you said, the lobby was so crowded because if you wanted to see whatever was occurring, that was the only time it could occur.
Right. Chris, thoughts on a 3-day? Have you been on one?
I have not done a 3-day. And when you were talking right now, I had all these concerned thoughts going through my mind because I started thinking, wait, does that mean that one of the restaurants you don't even get to have their main menu because they're putting the pirate menu in on the pirate night? And also the pirate menu has plantains and I'm allergic to plantains. Then my mind was just like, you know what? Nope. I just decided 3 nights is not going to work for me because I would prefer at least to get to go to each of the restaurants and have their main dining menu. And it sounds like you wouldn't even get that on a cruise like this unless, do they not do pirate menu?
They did not do the pirate menu. They had the pirate menu. I'm not even sure if it was a pirate menu, but whatever they have for the kids, they have the pirate hat with the kids menu on the pirate hat on that second night. But it was the main menu for each one of the restaurants.
Okay, well, they already solved my problem then. I guess I'll do it. I mean, any cruise is better. Any cruise is better than no cruise. But I do have thoughts that, like, the shorter you go, the more you feel crammed, the more you feel like... And also, isn't that kind of funny that, like, already, I bet if you pulled the numbers, it'd be like 60 to 70% of people don't get off at Nassau because people are just over it. That's Disney literally saying, like, hey, we're stopping at Nassau because we need to, but, like, we don't expect you to get off because we're putting all of the Halloween events during this port day. So, like,
yeah,
it's sort of like Disney saying, like, yeah, we're stopping at a port, but that doesn't mean anything.
To be fair, okay, so why did the 3-day work for us? I'll tell you why. And this is why you can go on a 3-day, is once you've been on enough Disney cruises that you've done the things that you don't feel like you have to do everything, then you can kick back, relax, and enjoy the things that you do enjoy. And that's why the 3-day, I guess, worked for us, because we did not get caught up in the chaos. However, if you want to try and do everything, I think that makes it tough.
And that's how we felt as well. We loved, for what it was, our 3-day, because we didn't do anything.
Exactly.
We totally relaxed and, like, watched a movie one time or something. Just, we did nothing.
Exactly. The hard part is like, so we like doing like my oldest son and I, we like to go and do the drawing class. Well, they only had it one time, and it was like Tuesday or the second night. So I think it was like 7:00 at night, there was like the drawing class, which normally, like, if you're on a longer cruise, it's like on a sea day at like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. So you can get up, relax, and go do the little drawing where you do the character drawings, and they teach you how to draw Mickey or Pluto or whoever else. So that's what gets condensed in the 3-day. But if you've done it enough times, it's like, well, I really don't want to do that at 7 o'clock. I'm just going to go over here and do this. So I think doing a 3-day for the very first time is tough. Mm-hmm. To go all the way back to this, I guess. So they had a little bit of Halloween stuff the first night. The second day, you theoretically could get off in the morning, go and do the port stuff, and be back in time to do the trick-or-treating and the kids costume contest, and then they had an adult costume contest later in the evening after all the pirate festivities. So you could theoretically do all three, but boy, it was cramming a lot of stuff in. Not to mention if there was other things on top of that, like Vanity Match Your Maid or whatever else, that was really, you would just be exhausted after that second day. So for us, it worked because we didn't really care about a lot of that stuff, and we got to pick and choose the things that we wanted to do. But if this is your one-time cruise, I think it would be really tough and it would be disappointing. I will say also the crowd was kind of interesting. I think that a large amount of them it was huge groups of families, like multiple families traveling together, and then also huge groups of families multi-generationally traveling together. And I think I had the feeling that a lot of them had either been on the cruise before, because there's a lot of silvers that were doing this in addition to spending time in the parks. And so I think for a lot of those people, it kind of worked for them as well. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the 3-day is especially popular as an extension of a vacation because people can go to Disney World. They could technically go to all 4 parks and still have 3 days on a cruise, and it would be a 1-week vacation.
And obviously, if your price point dictates that you can only do a 3-day, or timing only dictates that you can do a 3-day, then make the most of it. But if Halloween's really your thing, and you really want to spend that whole day doing the Halloween stuff and kind of being engrossed in it, you might want to look at maybe a longer cruise so that you could do both Halloween and Pirates if those are important to you.
You know me; those are my favorite events.
I know.
So
did you dress up?
We dressed up as pirates, so we did a little bit of the pirate stuff. And my youngest,
you haven't showed us a picture yet.
I know. I'll get some out. Our youngest brought some Halloween stuff to dress, but then he wasn't really interested in it once he got on board. He was happy doing the stuff that he wanted to do in the kids club and getting ice cream and riding the aqueduct. So
when they trick or treat, are they just like walking to other cabins or like walking? Like where are you saying the words trick or treat, and is the candy name brand?
It is name brand. I'm having a hard time with this. Let's just go back to the timeline again. So first night they do the pumpkin tree, which I will tell you, they do talk about a scary story, but there's a lot of little kids there and they didn't seem overly frightened. But there's a scary element to it, a scary story that they kind of,
That's lovely. Okay.
Yeah. And I don't want to give it away if you want to experience it. So, but there's a little bit of a scary story. But there's, like I said, there's tons of like little kids down there, and I didn't see anybody like running out of the lobby in craziness. But that took place in the lobby. The second day, they have the characters dressed up in the morning and the afternoons for Halloween, like Mickey and Minnie have their costumes on. They have Jack Skellington's or Nightmare Before Christmas sing-along, and that's when you can meet Jack and Sally. It's really short, I guess. We didn't see them, but you can meet them after the sing-along, and I guess they closed it down pretty quickly, so that was kind of tough for some people to actually spend some time seeing them. And then after that, they have the trick-or-treating, which happens, to answer your question, Chris, is in the kind of the 3 different stages of the lobby. They have different tables set up, so you kind of go from table to table to table. And I didn't go down there. I should have probably gone down there to see it, but my youngest son came through, coming up from trying to get out of the kids club, and then to come up to meet up with us to go and do something. And he said it was crazy, and that's why he didn't want anything to do with it. Our table mates that we sat with at dinner, they tried to go down there with their daughter, and they said it was just a zoo. People didn't know where to go. It was kind of disorganized. Hopefully this is the only ship that was kind of disorganized, but I wish I had something better to say, but I didn't actually experience it. But those are kind of the feedbacks that we got, that it was kind of, it felt disorganized, and it was a lot of chaos, and it was really crowded and hot. So no, you don't go to the different staterooms. It's just all done in the lobby. And then after that, they had kind of a family dance party and a costume contest for the kids, and then it was on to Pirate Night. And that was the end of the Halloween stuff.
I mean, I suppose that the pirate theme is not that far from a Halloween theme. I guess there's some synergy there just in combining them.
I think that the Pirate Night is so popular that I don't know if there's any other way to do it. You can't do it the night after Castaway Cay on a 3-day. That's just, they're not going to do it that night. They're not going to not do it, which was my wife and I were kind of like, well, if you were doing, if people are coming here for the Halloween, why not just have Halloween and skip the pirates? But there might be a mutiny on there by the people that love Pirate Night, and people want to experience that too. So I'm not sure that they'll ever change it. I guess just be aware we've already said this already, that on this 3-day cruise, if there's something you really want to experience like Pirates or Halloween, you might want to try and look for a longer one. That's, I guess, my takeaway.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, but did you research the 4-night? Do you think on the 4-night they're not combined?
Well, why don't I pull it up and look so that you can be talking?
Yeah.
So that you could actually give your trip report.
Right. So I do know that on the longer one, it's a separate night, like the 7 nights, because we had some friends that just went on a 7-night cruise. There was a Halloween on the high seas, and they was on different nights at that point. So let's go back to some different things. Stateroom, we booked this time. We booked a veranda. That worked out great. Loved it. We were on deck 6. Super easy for the kids to get down to the kids club area, or my youngest to get down to the kids club area.
Were you by the elevator?
We were by the elevator. Super easy also to jump into those stairs and get up and down and go to wherever you're going. So that's kind of our go-to thing. Dining, I will say this, Chris, man, it was amazing. The food was awesome. Our serving team was great.
That's great.
Yay.
Yeah. I mean, so our youngest got a steak every night. If you get just the regular steak that they have on the menu, hit or miss on that one. Depends on the piece of meat you're going to get. But holy cow, the Chateaubriand, everything that was recommended by our server was absolutely outstanding. I thought my wife and I were all both blown away from the food. We thought it was really good. We did not do Paolo or Remy. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris. I stepped on you.
No worries. I was going to say, did you do any of the specialty restaurants? But you didn't. But on a 3-night, you sort of don't want to, because then you have to miss one of the main restaurants.
Exactly. And to be honest, we wanted to spend time with our kids.
Right. And you take time away from it.
What was your favorite menu of the 3 restaurants? Or which restaurant did you like the most?
I'm still going to go with Royal Palace, I guess.
Because of escargot?
Because of the escargot. And the Chateaubriand was just amazing. I think our 2 favorites are Enchanted Garden and Royal Palace. And probably, and this goes for the fantasy too, probably our least favorite is, and at least is, it's like picking your least favorite kid is Animator's Palette. How about you guys?
From a menu perspective, I think I agree with you. The Animator's Palette menu isn't my favorite, but the decor and the experience of Animator's Palette is right on. I love it. I would say that the best dessert is for me, obviously, is at like the Royal Palace, the one that's off of the atrium, because they have this like apple, I don't even know what they call it, but it's like basically a baked apple, and it is literally the best thing. And I've actually had my server bring it to me when I'm in different restaurants just because he knows I like it so much. So I would say that I love that restaurant, particularly for that dessert.
Well, and I love that restaurant for my fried brie when they can make it. My last cruise on the Dream, they could not figure it out, which I didn't understand. And the one time I sent it back because I was like, well, this is cold. And so then the breading was different. It was very weird. It was a whole weird experience. But that is my favorite. Well, when they make it a certain way. Mm-hmm. It can be. Gosh. It is not naturally gluten-free, and the one everybody eats is not gluten-free. So they have to make it in a separate area of the kitchen, separate kitchen or wherever they make those items. Yeah, it's a whole separate way. But when they can get it right, they'll like bring it to me multiple nights over the cruise and things like that, which is lovely.
I mean, any sort of fried cheese,
right?
It's pretty epic.
Exactly. Steve, I looked up the Navigators and they are on separate nights on the 4-night.
Okay, so first night would be Halloween, or did it say?
Well, so the first full day, yes, is Halloween.
Okay, and then the second one, Castaway Cay, would be come back in and do Pirates?
Yes.
Okay. Because I think that's how it goes. And then the last day is Day at Sea.
Day at Sea.
Yeah. So there you go. Once again, if you want to experience them in a separate day, maybe look for that 4-day cruise if it'll fit into your schedule. I guess just to touch on a couple more things, the kids clubs, we kind of touched on it, I guess. To be completely honest, our oldest had a hard time fitting in. And I think it was because it goes back to those groups. There was just huge groups of families traveling together that when he went up for the icebreakers, there was not very many kids that showed up for that. And he said it was pretty lame, actually, what the counselors did. It was really quick. It was like, hey, who likes red? Who likes blue? Okay, if you like blue, then you guys are best friends for the cruise. He's like, what?
Oh, God. That's not going to work.
Yeah, he said it was really lame compared to what he's experienced on the other ships. So but you know what's super cool is the last 2 cruises, we didn't see him at all. This time, we spent all 3 days. He hung out with us. We went and saw Beauty and the Beast together. We were at the Aqueduct several times together. So it was actually a fun time, being able to spend some time with him. So I think it really had to do with the nature of just the large groups of kids traveling together, and it's just hard to break into those big groups already. And then our youngest,
because they are a group, and that's the issue. Those other groups are already groups of people,
right?
And so they have their built-in, playmates.
Yeah. And then our youngest was kind of disappointed in the Dreams Kids Club, to be completely honest. He had a great time. He did the drawing tables. He did super sloppy science, so that was fun. But back to your question, Chris, the Star Wars stuff was really just the Millennium Falcon. There's actually more Star Wars stuff on the Fantasy as far as kind of a themed area where you can fly a speeder or something else, and you actually got to fly it versus just sitting there and watching the video. I guess the counselors told him that it wasn't broken. It was too dangerous or something like that, which he never really understood. I guess you can't fly.
Well, then
that just sounds
why
like trying
offer
not
it?
to mess up the magic. Like you make up a reason why Tinkerbell can't fly the castle tonight, or why Belle has to go home.
Right. Go ahead, Christy.
Yeah, then don't have it.
Yeah.
I know. Like, what do they think when they put a Millennium Falcon? Was it going to shoot out hugs? I mean, I don't understand. And it's not real, so I don't understand that. Just either have it and have it work, or don't have it at all.
Yeah. So
meanwhile, at Galaxy's Edge, you can pilot the real Millennium Falcon. So I also think that we're leaving behind that dream simulator for a much more advanced simulator in the parks.
There you go. But I don't want to say he didn't have a good time. He really enjoyed the time he spent there. He left dinner early several times to go do some of the things that were going on in the clubs both nights that we were there, and so he did have a good time. He just, between the two, he preferred the Fantasy, I guess, and the Magic, since we've been on. Those are the ones he's remembered lately. Going on to entertainment, we did Match Your Mate. We actually met up with one of our Patreon supporters, Zach, his wife, and a friend of theirs. Ran into them, which was a lot of fun hanging out with them, watching Match Your Mate. And Chris, not you, Chris, but Chris from the Disney Entertainment staff was on board, which we'd had on the Fantasy. Have you guys seen him?
Yeah, he's great.
I couldn't say.
He's amazing. He's like one of those guys that, like, you have to listen to every word he says because he's throwing out so many different angles and funny little side comments that if you don't keep up with him, you're missing something. But so he was on board. We watched him for Match Your Mate. We did 80s trivia, which, holy cow, Amber, if you're listening, and for you guys, we got 29 out of 32, and we finished 5th. So.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
I know. We missed one question and one little bonus add-on, and we got 5th. So those trivia contests are tough. So if you ever win those winter medals, good on you.
Well, the winter medals are even harder to win on the big ships.
Right.
Because there's more people.
Right.
When you watched Match Your Mate, did you guys play along? Did you and Wake answer the questions?
No, we should have. We totally forgot about that. We should have done that. Yeah.
Wait, have any of you ever been a contestant on the show?
God, no.
No, we have not either.
Seth and I have.
Really?
Yes. I don't know if they do this for everyone, but it was the whole thing where it's like the oldest couple in the room, a couple that's been married for a while, and a couple that just got married, and it was our honeymoon. So we were the couple that just got married, and we didn't do that bad. We didn't win, though.
Was it as edgy? Because it got pretty edgy at the end. Was it pretty edgy there for you guys, some of the questions?
I will tell you that it was too edgy for this podcast.
Okay.
Because I was stressed. But
okay, maybe we'll have to make that a Patreon episode. Now I'm curious minds one day.
Yeah, a Patreon just for the adults in the room. We could talk about it.
Yeah, Steve likes to give disclaimers. We'll give a disclaimer.
Definitely.
Never gonna let you live that down. Okay, so
wait, you said entertainment, but you didn't tell us how Beauty and the Beast was.
Yeah, that's where I was going back to as well. Thank you, Chris.
So we skipped the Golden Mickeys and Disney's Believe. We'd seen them several times. We did other things, but we wanted to go see Beauty and the Beast. And from my oldest to my wife and I, we think that was the best show we've seen on Disney Cruise Line as far as their Broadway style show, or as far as like their story that they've remade, compared to Frozen, Tangled, Toy Story, the musical we saw initially on The Wonder. We really loved Beauty and the Beast. It was amazing.
Is there any sort of like special effect that like wowed you, or that was like, whoa, how did they do that?
I don't know if there was a special effect, but holy cow, each one, I mean, they hit each one of those songs, all the big songs from, oh, geez, I'm totally drawing a blank now. Be Our Guest to Beauty and the Beast and the one with LeFou and Gaston. No one
with the mugs.
Yeah, with the mugs and everything like that. Yeah, it was. I guess I don't want to give too much away for people that haven't seen it, but yeah, I loved all of that. And I didn't know what to expect for the wolves, Christy, because you talked about that as far as it being scary. That was definitely kind of intense. I could see where it would be intense for little kids.
How long did it run?
It was, I want to say it was scheduled for like an hour and 15, and I think it was right about an hour and 15 or so. And I think, all of them are a little bit shorter than, like, Frozen on Broadway is a much longer story than what you're going to see on the cruise ship. And I'm not sure about Aladdin. We haven't seen Aladdin, I guess, because it wasn't playing when we were on board. But so it's definitely like a shortened version of Beauty and the Beast, but I thought it flowed really well, and it got everything in, all the highlights and the whole story in just perfectly. So what are your guys' thoughts?
I've never seen it.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't on the Dream when we sailed. Though when we sail the Fantasy in February, they will have a new production of Frozen that they're moving over to the Fantasy. And they will have the refreshed production of Aladdin that incorporates the new songs from the movie. So I'm excited to see those. But I haven't seen this brand new Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I am curious about the Frozen and why. I love Frozen.
Why do the same show on two ships like that? I'll say I'm a little bit disappointed because they have literally some of the best musical things in their library. I would not be opposed to like a Hunchback of Notre Dame situation
But then they'd have to create it.
I know, and I want them to.
Yes. We all do. But I wonder if it is because Frozen is so popular and Frozen 2 is coming out. Well, at least they want it to be popular, right? And it was for quite a while. And it's already created, so it can fill a void of one of the nights without it costing them a whole new production fee situation.
And from what I hear, they didn't really do much in the way of changing Aladdin. Just a little bit of redressing, a little bit of costume shifts and things like that, some restaging. Whereas Beauty and the Beast, it was like a really, really creatively fleshed out. We're gonna see what it's like to create sort of like realistic objects that are puppets and things like that.
And it was that. Yeah, it was a total new situation. Okay.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
Well, one of the things people have always talked about that have been frequent cruisers is that they want to see different shows because they've been running kind of the similar shows over and over again, like the Golden Mickeys, Disney's Believe, which are all great shows, but I kind of like the idea that the fact that they're going to have two of these big shows on board, so you can either go to both of them, or if it doesn't work out, you can see one kind of big theme show like that versus kind of the sing-along shows, which Disney Believe and the Golden Mickeys are. Well, they're not really sing-along shows, but kind of more just touching on all the different popular songs.
Right, and there's a whole world of people that are never going to make it on the Wonder because they're not going to Alaska, or they're not going on a Panama Canal cruise, or they want to just do the regular Caribbean, but perhaps not out of Galveston or stuff like that. So the Wonder is just doing such unique itineraries, and more people, frankly, are cruising the regular Caribbean sailings. So the Fantasy consistently. And so, yeah, I like the idea of, I guess, giving them more to see.
And the Frozen musical does synergize well with Alaska because of the whole like freeze the night party and it's cold there and all of that. So if the Fantasy were to ever move itineraries or go towards Alaska, if that were to happen, then it actually makes a ton of sense for that ship to have Frozen on it, now that I think about it.
That was kind of the highlights of the entertainment that we did. I'm trying to think. They had the group that was, how they always have the group in the lobby before you go into, or in the evenings before you go to dinner, or if you're getting your picture taken.
The officers?
No, not the officers, the group.
Singers.
Yeah, the singers. There was like
entertainment in the lobby. Yes.
Yeah, there's like a 3-person group. There was like female singer, then a bass player and a keyboardist. Man, they were awesome. They were really good this time. We really enjoyed sitting back and listening to a couple of their songs before we went into dinner each night. So,
did you take any family pictures?
We did not.
Well, we did not our last cruise either. So
yeah, we had plans to, and then I don't know. We just had a hard time packing for this cruise for some reason. We didn't bring any really great clothes, and it just never worked out for some reason. So,
because you pack in a carry-on.
Yeah, we do pack. We do pack it and carry. I think our next one my parents are coming with, so we're gonna make sure we all get dressed up and get some good pictures there.
You're gonna bring actual luggage.
We're gonna bring one big extra bag with all our stuff, with our pirate swords and patches and everything else, so we can really do it up.
Because you're on one of the Dream Class ships, you can use the coffee table as a dirty clothes hamper.
Exactly.
Never to be used for anything again.
Steve texted me a picture of them looking inside of there, horrified. And I was like, great.
You're never going to live that one down.
I'll never live it down. It's like Steve's Subway comment.
Exactly.
Right. Oh my God, Subway.
It'll live forever. Well, before Christy's got to get out of here, let's turn to, I guess, one last thing we had some thoughts on. We went to Castaway Cay. We got lucky. I'll be honest, I think we didn't get off in Nassau. We had plans we were going to get off and maybe buy some t-shirts, just kind of cruise around the straw market a little bit, but we ended up just staying on the ship the whole day. I think what really made this cruise, to be completely honest, why it felt so good was because we had just an awesome day in Castaway Cay. The weather was perfect. I guess the day before it was really windy. It had been rainy and windy the last couple of weeks. We got lucky. And just a couple thoughts. First, we did the parasail thing, which was usually canceled in the past when we've been there, and that was awesome. Have you guys ever parasailed before?
No, but I want to so badly.
No, but please tell us how it was, because I definitely want to do it.
So there was...
But I kind of have to go.
Do you got to go?
Okay, I can stay for 4 more minutes.
Okay.
So then I really don't have to go.
So real quick, parasailing was fun. They put 8 of us on a boat, and because it was a little windy, but it was safe enough to go, they did, instead of having you go up individually, you went up as 2 people, so you did tandem. And you probably had about maybe 8 to 10 minutes up there. It feels like a long time while you're up there, but boy, you get higher than the ship. You get a great view of the ship itself. They kind of take you back and forth. You get a great view of the whole island. So who are you
with, though? Sorry. Who are you tandem with?
You can pick whoever you want to go tandem with. Okay. So our kids actually went together. I thought they were going to go. We were going to each go with one of our kids, but they wanted to go together. So 13 and 9, they were able to go together up there. Loved it. And then my wife and I went. And then there was a mom and a 13-year-old. Actually, 2 moms and a 13-year-old son and a 13-year-old daughter, and they all went. The one mom and son was from Australia, and she goes, "Wow, that was the quickest $200 I've ever blown through," but she loved it.
Yeah, that is a good way to look at it. Were you allowed to take your phones up there?
You can take whatever you want up there, but they're not responsible for it. So if it ends up in the sea, they're not going to go look for it.
Well,
obviously, right? Yeah. And it kills me because I just got a new phone. My kids are all over me they've been on me to get a GoPro forever. Didn't have a GoPro. I wish I would have brought my phone up there to get some pictures when we were up in the air of the ship and the island. The island is a lot smaller than I thought it was.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so disappointed in you.
I know. Well, I just got a new phone, and I was like, at the last second, my oldest son Andrew's like, "Do you want us to take pictures?" I'm like, "Okay, you take it. I don't want to drop it. I don't want to lose the pictures I already have." So we did.
Yeah, that's true.
But next time, if anybody does it, make sure you get a GoPro, one of those ones with a nice handle that you can hold on to. And
you could also put a handle on your phone, or you can get something to attach your phone, a case, something like that. I have one that I probably sent you that got lost in the mail that you never received. I sent you a whole package and fun things like that were in there. I'm so mad at the mail.
Chris, you had a point?
Just that I really want to do it. And then even, was it $200 a person? Because in Alaska
a person?
No, I think it's like $100 a person.
Oh my gosh. That to me feels like a steal, because when I was in Alaska, we did that mega zip line thing, and that alone was like $160 a person. And this is 10 minutes basically of doing something like that. So now that I know that, I'm going to book it.
Yeah, it's like a little over 100 per person, because I know it was about 400 for the 4 of us, and it was super cool. I mean, it was so much fun. Like when they stop, when the boat stops, or the boat that's pulling you stops, and you start floating down. I mean, it's just so peaceful and quiet up there. It was just a really cool experience. If you ever get a chance to do it, and the weather holds out for you, definitely do it. It was awesome.
Do you land back in the water or on the platform, or what happens when you're getting down?
You take off from the platform, and they can really... I was kind of curious how they were going to do it, but they can really maneuver that boat around to make sure you land back onto the boat pretty easily.
So it's safe.
Oh, yeah.
Relatively.
Yeah, and they do a safety thing ahead of time, obviously, to... If you land in the water, you have to have... everybody's got their life jackets on. They kind of tell you what to do as far as if you land in the water, but I don't think that probably ever happens, to be completely honest. It would be probably pretty unlikely.
You two tandem, how does that work?
So you both have a separate strap on, and there's two different places where that strap hooks on to the parachute itself. So
are you side by side?
no, so Anawik was in front of me, so you're kind of front and back. Yeah.
Well, then it's got to be somebody you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you probably don't want to.
That's a little cuddly otherwise.
I think, I'm not sure what they would have done if you were by yourself, if they would have forced you to go with somebody else that you didn't know. I think they probably could have got you up there by yourself. But that day, they kept us in tandem, which was super fun, actually, because we could kind of talk and point things out while we're up there.
That part would be great.
Yeah.
So, sounds like magic.
It was. It was a dream, actually.
A wish.
Christy's leaving.
All right, Christy, thanks for coming on.
Okay. Talk to you guys later.
Take care.
Bye, Christy.
Bye.
And I guess to finish up, any questions about Castaway Cay at all? I got a couple other points, but any questions you have, Chris?
Yeah, so when we've done Castaway Cay, both times we've booked excursions that were canceled because of weather. So you said that the weather was like good this day. Do you have a sense of how often the parasail gets canceled due to weather?
The sense that I get from just feedback from, Facebook and everything else, that it generally does get canceled. Like, we've got some friends
bummer.
over at, some different podcasts that commented like, I've been there like 8 or 9 times and it's been canceled every time. One of our good listeners, Chris, we have a lot of Chris's. He said that this is the best time of year that they've had the most success either parasailing or doing the jet ski excursions sometime in the fall versus the rest of the year, where a lot of times in the summer you're going to have the thunderstorms in the afternoon and just having the wind. The other times we were there were in the March timeframe. It was always really windy there. So maybe if you can do it, try and plan it in the fall.
Did you go to Serenity Bay at all, or were you with the family beach?
No, we were with the kids who were at the family beach. But I will say this. So, okay, this is only the third time we've been to Castaway Cay. The first one, I don't remember a ton about. Last time with the Fantasy, my wife and I got off. We didn't plan it well. We ran the 5K, which we didn't do this time. Then we went back to the ship, showered, came back out. So it was probably 10 or so in the morning by the time we got back out, which I know is late. People get out there quickly. There was not, on the family beach, it was hard to find an open seat. I mean, you're going to find one, but it was really hard to find. It took us a while looking to find some open seats. And this time, we didn't get out because our excursion was at 10. We kind of had a lazy morning again, rode the aqueduct a couple times, which there was no lines because everybody's out on the island. Did the excursion and then wandered down the beach. There was tons of open seats. You could sit wherever you wanted to. So once again, was that a product of this 3-day cruise where people were staying? I mean, they were doing the Princess meet and greet that morning in the lobby. Were people staying on board and trying to fill in those things that they may have done on a 7-day cruise earlier in the cruise? I'm not sure, but it was kind of a night and day experience as far as it was really relaxing. Not that it wasn't on the Fantasy, but it was really relaxing this time.
Did you get in the water at all? Is it warm this time of year?
Yeah, it was a lot warmer too. And it was a little windy by the afternoon. And the one thing that we always comment on is we love doing Pelican Plunge, which, have you done that?
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, so you go over there and you got to swim out to it. So the water's cold in March. And then you get out and it's windy and you're just like freezing and shivering, waiting for yourself to go down the slide and get back in the water where you're going to be warm again. This time it was warm the whole time. The water was warm. You got out, it was windy, but you're still plenty warm. So it was. Now I understand why people from Florida say they don't swim in March. they swim in the summer when it's warm.
We were there in August and we felt like it was sort of like a bath water temperature, like not warm bath, but still like you could walk right into the water. It didn't feel cold at all. But when we went to Castaway Cay, even in April, I want to say, it was April, the water was much cooler. So I do think it wasn't uncomfortably cool and we did acclimate, but I do think that summer and fall are really good times to go because the water is warmer.
I totally agree with you there. Yeah. That's pretty much all we did. We just hung out, did Pelican Plunge a bunch, did some races on that between each other, and we swam out to the buoy. We didn't do any snorkeling this time. We just kind of really relaxed. It was really enjoyable.
It sounds like paradise.
It was. And then from there, we got back on. We drag our bags off ourselves. So we got back, packed all our bags, and then we just had a nice, good evening, kind of just picking things that we wanted to do that last evening before and after dinner.
What time did you get off the ship?
So we actually went to, instead of doing cabanas this time, we went down because we had the later dinner. We had at 8 o'clock or 8:15 in the morning breakfast down in Enchanted Garden. So we did that because we really liked our wait staff team. And instead of kind of fighting cabanas, since we drag our bags off, okay, so let's put this is the reason why. Since we take our bags off ourselves, waiting until 8:15, we knew we had to be out of the staterooms by, I think, 9 is when they want you out. Mm-hmm. We didn't want to drag our bags from the 6th floor all the way up to the 11th floor to cabanas, then back down to get off. So we were doing Enchanted Garden. We took the bags with us down to Enchanted Garden, left them outside, ate, nice enjoyable breakfast, and then grabbed our bags and got off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. We've never done that because we pack enough bags, at least, that we have some that we carry on, but mostly we let them take them off the ship for us, which I think kind of puts a little bit of a damper on that last night because you're like rushing to get packed and have your bags ready by like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. And it really feels like it's your last night. And I bet on a 3-day cruise especially, it would feel that way. So I think you did the right thing just bringing a simple carry-on, because then you have it all in your control. You can have at your pace, your family can do what they want. That seems like the right thing.
And I'll even throw this. I think we kind of made a mistake. After we got done eating, we went up to get off, and there was the line went all the way from the lobby, all the way back down the hallway towards Animator's Palette and into Animator's Palette.
My gosh.
It did move fast, but it was kind of a zoo to get back there. And thinking back on it, as we got back up to the lobby, there was a bunch of people sitting up on the 4th deck, drinking their coffee, just kind of looking down at us. And I'm like, why didn't we do that? Our flight wasn't until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We were in no hurry to get off like some people are. So I think when we go in August to Port Canaveral, we'll probably do that. Just bring our stuff down to deck 4 and sit in the lobby and kind of watch everybody get off until the chaos kind of finishes up and then get off then.
That actually seems like the right call, just to sort of lounge around, because it doesn't matter if you're the last one off the ship or not.
No.
But if your flight wasn't until 4, what did you do until then?
So last time we got off actually early. I think we were off the ship at 8 last time. We kind of got off early and drove all the way to Disney Springs and spent some time in Disney Springs. This time we'd already been there. We didn't really feel like we needed to do that. So we went over to NASA, over to Kennedy Space Center to check it out. So we kind of wandered around there a little bit. We didn't go in. We didn't pay for the day to go in. And then we kind of drove through some back roads of Florida just to kind of check it out, back towards Orlando to kill some time before we had to get to the airport. And we went by some, what was it called? Swampy Gatorland or something like that. And it's killing me. I wish we would have stopped to get some pictures in front of this big, it looked like something from like the 60s or 70s, Chris, as far as kind of a throwback, side of the road attraction from Florida from back then.
Yes. If it was, in fact, the Gatorland, I am very familiar with it.
So it wasn't Gatorland. It was a smaller version. It was like out in the middle of nowhere. It was called like Come See Swampy. And they had this big, huge concrete alligator structure thing that I wish we would have stopped and gotten pictures in front of because it was super cool.
Yeah, that's so good. I think Florida's great for little roadside attractions that you just sort of come upon when you're traveling. So I think you did it right. Yeah. We've done the Kennedy Space Center where we actually got off the ship, rented a car, went there and paid to get in and that whole thing. And it's really cool and worth it to do at least once. But I also think it's fun just to sort of drive around and explore because there's so many roadside attractions in Orlando.
And it's so different. I mean, for you being in California and us up here in Oregon, just the scenery and kind of the feel of it is so different. It was kind of fun to do that.
Completely flat and a swamp.
Well, as we kind of finish up here, we threw this question out to our Patreon, or threw a question out at what did people want us to talk to about Halloween on the high seas. I'm kind of trying to run through a couple. I think we touched on most of them. The one question we had was, does it primarily appeal to kids or do you see teens getting into it? I didn't go down for the trick-or-treating, but I could pretty much guess that the teens were not down there trick-or-treating. They did have like a few teen activities I saw in the clubs, but I don't think it's an overall... Maybe if it was an all-day Halloween thing, they might have a couple extra things. I'm not sure it's just it would be a huge draw for teens. I really had a feel more that this is for for littler kids is kind of what I got out of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's also true of the Mickey's Not So Scary and the Oogie Boogie Bash in California. I think they have things that are really visually cool for everybody, right? But it's not, if you think about the trick-or-treating, the costume contests and things like that, they are a bit more geared towards young people in Disney parks. So it doesn't surprise me that the cruise line was that way for you too.
As far as, specifically for teens, I'm not sure that I would go out of my way to do this as far as like a teen experience, Halloween experience. I think that there might be other things that they might enjoy more. Does that make sense? Hopefully I'm answering that question.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. I think probably some teenagers would be super into it and others would be like over it and ready to go.
Then the last question, I think we've touched on this a bunch. Once again, did your family feel like 3 days was too short? For us, no. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a great little break, but if you're trying to pack everything into it, boy, it's a busy 3 days and it may not be as enjoyable. I would really try and look for something a little bit longer if you really want to do everything. But if you've been on multiple Disney cruises, it's kind of like going to the parks for you probably, right, Chris? Like when you go to Disneyland, you don't feel like, boy, I have to do Pirates and Haunted Mansion and go over to, Space Mountain. It's kind of like, well, if you make it to Space Mountain that day, you do. If not, you don't.
I think that honestly, the big thing about the 3 day is more so that if it's your very first ever cruise, you probably will feel like you definitely didn't get to see everything there was to see or do, because those of us who've been on longer cruises still feel that way. And we've, had 7 days to try it out or longer. So I imagine that a 3 day is probably just hard if you wanted to feel like you saw everything. But if you go on cruises a lot or you're willing to just sort of, go with the flow, I think 3 day is better than no day. And I would definitely do a 3 day. We've done a 4 day, by the way, and the 4 day was not bad. So, I think longer is better just for us, but I would rather do a 3 day than none.
Definitely. Well, I guess as we kind of wrap things up and get out of here, any final thoughts or anything else that you want to touch on today, Chris, before we get out of here?
What's next? You said August, you're going somewhere?
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say what's next.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we have a ridiculous, I'm going to be completely honest, we have a ridiculous amount of cruises booked in 2020.
Oh, wow. What are they?
I don't think we're going to be doing as many. If we do them all, we will not be doing as many as 2019. But we have, in April, we're going for my mom's 80th birthday on a 5-day out of San Diego down to Cabo and Ensenada. Then we have the 9-day cruise on the Magic down to Greece in June. Then my brother and his husband's family have decided to do a 4-day on the Dream in August and have conned us into going with them. And so we're going with them on the Dream in August on a 4-day, kind of the same itinerary, except for that sea day at the end. And then we are going with friends on Norwegian to Canada in September.
So 4 cruises, 3 of them Disney.
4 cruises, 3 of them Disney, and I got to keep running, otherwise I won't be able to fit through my stateroom door by the end of that 4th cruise.
Absolutely. I mean, but think about that mix. That's a pretty good mix. Doing something out of San Diego, that's a really cool sort of itinerary. Doing something out of Port Canaveral, and then doing the Greek Isles, that's a really cool year on Disney Cruise Line.
Yeah, we're really excited for it. And then my wife caught me into booking another cruise into 2021, so we're already starting into 2021, which is crazy.
What would that one be, out of Port Canaveral too?
No, that one's going to be the 5-day out of San Diego up to Vancouver. So as the Wonder transitions.
Oh, repositioning.
Yeah, and that's just going to be her and I, so it's just going to be the 2 of us doing that one, hopefully.
Oh my gosh, so fun.
I know. San Francisco and Victoria, we're totally looking forward to those 2 stops.
That's amazing. Yeah, and you get to sail under the Golden Gate Bridge. You have to get a GoPro this year.
I know. We will have a GoPro before our next cruise, otherwise my youngest is going to kill me. So. And then you guys have the Star Wars Day at Sea cruise coming up too.
Yeah, so we have Run Disney. We're doing a week at Disney World in January. And then a month later, we're going right back to Orlando. But that time we're doing a 7-night Star Wars Day at Sea out of Port Canaveral. And then we're looking at doing a San Diego because the Wonder is our last ship for a Grand Slam. So we're looking at doing San Diego on the Wonder basically after it leaves Alaska, so sometime in the fall.
Perfect. So you could do Halloween on the high seas down there then.
I think we will. You might have sold me.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for being with us today and for becoming part of our podcast. We really appreciate your takes, and I love having you as part of the team now.
Yeah, me too. It's been really fun, and I hope that you actually go on all those cruises next year, because it'll be so many more chances to learn about all the cool itineraries.
And we're going to hopefully get this out tomorrow. We're recording on the 29th. I'm hopefully going to have it up by the 30th, maybe the 31st. I want to say happy Halloween to everybody out there. Just have a magical night out there. Stay away from all those ghouls and goblins and have some fun with your kids out there if you're taking your kids trick-or-treating. And we've got, I think, one or two more people. I know one more person's coming on to kind of give their take on Halloween on the high seas as well. So we'll continue to bring those to you next month sometime. So we kind of cover this topic really good for those of you who are thinking about doing it next year.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween, guys, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.